So, we will start the formal session today. For today, we wanted to introduce a topic to you which is going to be used by you as a drone professional when you're using drones for advanced applications time in the
Ariana
career.
Yogananda, Mata
Okay, so this topic is remote sensing, and in our team, in our classroom, in one of your classmates is Sunny Kushwaha, who is a research scholar with IIT Roorkee. He has done his masters from IIRS. Am I right, Sunny? And today he will be talking to you about what remote sensing is and where can we use it, where is it used in the world today, and how easy or difficult it can be. So, Sunny, this is your session now. Over to you.
Good evening, all. Myself SKP Kushwaha. I am a PhD research scholar at uh, Department of Civil Engineering at IIT Roorkee, India. My research is based on drone image processing and point cloud processing. Point cloud is a derivative which is derived from stereo images which are required from drone. And today I would like to discuss few points regarding importance of remote sensing for sustainability of life. This is a small comparison of drone remote sensing and satellite remote sensing. Initially, we used to have a lot of satellite remote sensing techniques, and currently, within the past few years, drone remote sensing technique has catched a great speed and development. Drone remote sensing helps us to gather the information at a quicker rate, for a quick response, and it is for a smaller footprint. And whereas satellite remote sensing is concerned, it is done throughout the day and throughout the time period, and it acquires large footprint. Uh, and next we have there are applications of satellite remote sensing like oil spill mapping. Recently, it has come in news that in Russia, at a place near Norslik, on May 29, 2020, a lot of diesel oil has been split into the nearby river channel, and we can clearly say that in the GIF image correspondingly, that the oil which has split is moving due to the water current speed. Uh, and there is one more application I would talk is melting of Antarctica and Arctic ice. It has come in a lot of news that the ice is melting at a higher rate due to global warming. And see in this image at the bottom left corner, we can see that the melting of snow, due to which the land surface is clearly visible. In this case, the satellite remote sensing plays a major role because this area is not a smaller area. This is a larger footprint. And right side image, we can see that there are few fragments of ice that are being split due to the global warming and many other issues. This can be monitored using satellite remote sensing, in which the small fragments of ice are monitored and their motion at which it is moving away from the main ice land, and which cannot be again retracted as a ice. There is other application like plastic garbage. This is a very big concern, but very few people focus on this issue. The plastics which we use daily in our household, starting from household to commercial plastics, there are many plastics which you use for a single time, and these are the main issues which we throw it or we do not dispose this in a proper manner. This gets accumulated in the nearby water body and thereby mixing up in the sea, and this in returns creates a pollution in the ocean. And even the plastic garbages which are deposited into the sea, due to the water currents and the speed of the wind, these garbages accumulate at a particular point, and they start flowing as a complete body. In the left image you can see that it is a complete body of plastics. Even this can be monitored with the help of satellite remote sensing techniques. I would like to suggest that we can reduce the plastic usage as it is polluting our earth and ocean. And monitoring of water bodies. As this is a larger scale, the satellite image is a best use tool for monitoring these kind of activities. In this image, we can see that This is a biggest lake in Chennai, and which is now completely drained out. And there is a lot of water crisis in Chennai, and there will be water crisis in many over cities of India. See in this image, you can see that water, larger area of water is present in June 15, 2018, and gradually it has been decreased. As the water, there is a lot of water consumption by the nearby urban and the population nearby, and the groundwater is not getting uh, what to say replenished, and the usage is more. So in the June 15th image, we can see that the water is equal or less. There is no water. So this is a crisis. There is one more application, forest mapping. We see there is a lot of development for the very big projects like metros or any other big government projects. This is a case study of Mumbai, in which more than 1600 acres of dense forest has been cut in the Savantadi Dodamarg village corridor in the year 2014. In the name of development, a lot of greenery is being reduced, and this is also an effect, combining effect for the global warming, as there is a loss of forest. Other case studies, forest fire loss mapping. In the case of forest fire, on the spot we cannot use drones to monitor at a particular region above the forest fire, as that there are a lot of difficulties to fly a drone in the fire regions. Once the forest fire has occurred and the amount of loss that has caused to a particular region can be mapped with the temporal images, with the pre-image of the satellite when the disaster has not occurred, and a map when the uh, forest fire has minimized. See in the right side, we can see that there is an image in which different zones are monitored. A larger area of mapping can be done with the help of satellite image analysis. And finally, I would like to conclude, let us all together contribute to save our only survivable living planet, Earth. Thank you. And I'm open to questions.
Thank you very much,
Hello.
Sunny. This was a very quick presentation that you had to make and very nicely presented. So these are some of the applications. So do you really suggest, for example, if we get cases for river monitoring, for forest monitoring, wildlife, drones are better or satellites are better in that?
And that depends on the footprint. Like if you're monitoring for a city scale or a district level or a state level, then I would certainly suggest a satellite remote sensing is a best technique, because drone images are for a shorter footprint,
Okay.
and we have constraints regarding drone images.
What are the constraints according to you?
Like we have permission constraint and time period when we have to fly it, and we have to fly only in the daytime,
Okay.
and there is a lot of processing that has to be done, and it takes time.
And how easy it is to get our hands on satellite imagery?
Like there are many open source satellite images, like Landsat, and from Bhuvan, there is a portal of India, which is developed. It is named as Bhuvan. That is an Indian portal in which we can download the satellites images
Okay.
free of cost.
Okay. And that's only for India or is it for global or?
For global, we have other what we say websites like USGS, Earth Explorer.
Mm-hmm.
There are many other sources, ma'am.
And they're free.
And if you are going for a higher resolution, like considering less than 10 centimeters,
Uh-huh.
10 meters, then it is a commercial satellite images that is not free.
And how expensive
But
are they?
that depends on the sensor of the satellite, which there are different uh, sensors of satellites. Like this, now what we are dealing is optical, and there are other sensors. Depending on the sensor and the tile of the size, it varies, ma'am, cost up to thousands to lakhs.
From thousands to lakhs. Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Single tile.
Single tile. So if let's say if after a cyclone, if I have to map an entire village or
Yes, ma'am.
let's say a whole district that is affected, and if I use the satellite and I want to document the damage of the houses, then definitely I
Yes,
need
ma'am.
a very accurate image. So for
We,
that,
we,
it
yes,
would be
ma'am.
a high budget thing, right?
No, ma'am, we can do this work with the help of satellite images because in satellite images, the houses can be clearly visible.
Hmm.
We do not need high accuracy, like even the centimeters accuracy which we obtain through drone images. That is not required in the for district level mapping
Okay.
to assess the disaster.
Okay. But if I want to document how many houses are damaged, is that possible?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. That is possible through satellite images.
To the free ones.
Yes, ma'am.
Wow. Okay. And for example, crop health monitoring. We're going to start agriculture tomorrow. Talking about the indices which we use, the NDVI indices or other kind of indices, all that is possible?
Yes, ma'am. It has started through satellite images only initially. The whatever the indices we have, and
Hmm.
whereas considered as drone images,
Uh-huh.
basically we use optical RGB.
Okay.
We cannot even derive NDVI because in NDVI we need infrared band,
Okay.
whereas in satellite images we had numerous number of bands.
Hmm.
Rather than RGB, we have infrared, thermal, all other bands.
Okay. 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 And
We can
the
use
processing of
all the.
the analysis of these indices is done separately, or is there some kind of special software for it, or it happens on the portal itself, or how is it?
No, ma'am. The what we get is we get just the images like different bands of a particular area. If we select a particular region, in that particular region, whatever the satellite images are there, and the duration of the date which we want the dataset,
Hmm.
it will show. And once we download the dataset and different bands, we can use the bands according to us. Like we do not need all the bands. Then I will choose few bands, and depending on my requirement, I will do the analysis.
And are there specific tools to do that? How do you do it?
There are softwares like RGS, NV, ERDAS, eCognition.
Okay.
These are satellite image processing softwares, ma'am, for
Are they easy to
analysis.
learn?
Yes, ma'am. There are a lot of YouTube tutorials to process these data sets, and depending on the requirement, we can what the steps we need to carry and the workflow and methodology.
Nice.
It is
Interesting.
available.
Interesting.
Uh,
Okay. There
Ma'am,
is a
uh,
yes, Rohit.
Dr. Ruchi,
Yes.
I just would like to add some things to what Suni has said.
Sure.
Thank you, Suni, for the presentation. Actually, what he mentioned is absolutely right. Like we can use satellite imagery for mapping village level data also. So right now we are getting data from 2013 from Sentinel images. So Sentinel is a satellite program from the European Space Agency. So
Yes.
they're giving us 10-meter resolution data, which is extremely good. And they have basically 13 bands. So these images are multispectral and they have 13 different bands. So you can easily use them for right across like crop monitoring, forest health monitoring, fire, and all of those things. In fact, now they have a Sentinel-3 satellite which they are using for mapping pollution levels.
Okay.
So, and of course, the pollution level. So these basically, all this imagery is free, and you can download it from any of these, either USGS or the Sentinel websites. One more thing, the other thing you mentioned about NDVI and indices. So if you just want to view something, then there are some websites which have been created, which you can easily view the area, whichever area you want to view. And you can create the indices on the website itself.
Okay.
And it's very intuitive, and you can actually Google something called a Sentinel Playground. Okay,
Playground.
so yeah, I'll just put, maybe I'll just put the link in the chat box. So the Sentinel Playground basically gives us options to look at all of these imagery using their indices. The other thing is, one more thing I wanted to add to what he has been saying, like the good thing about satellite imagery is that we can actually compare it with the past data. So that's something that we can add to the drone imagery that you're getting, the current images. Also, I wanted to highlight one more example where drones and satellite have been used together. So I attended a workshop conducted by NASA. So NASA is conducting a lot of free workshops on remote sensing and GIS.
Okay.
So I think people can check those out. So they conducted this workshop using a very new interface called Google Earth Engine. Google Earth Engine allows you to actually work online using all your maps. So you don't need to download any kind of heavy imagery. All of that is backed up on Google servers, and you just, on your end, on the front end, you just need a browser. You just need Chrome browser or Firefox browser, and you need an account with Google Earth Engine, and you need a little bit of coding. So, and you can actually use it. So basically, what they did was they used Sentinel-1 imagery. So Sentinel-1 imagery is radar imagery. It's like an active sensor where it keeps on sending information and then recaptures and captures the information. It works like a sonar. So then the Sentinel-1 imagery has been used along with a LiDAR image. For LiDAR image, they used a small plane that they flew across a small strip of land, and they collected data for that strip of land. Now, using this LiDAR images, basically like point data. It just gives you, the laser just shoots down at your object, and then it calculates the time that it takes for the laser to bounce back. So then LiDAR collects all this information for a wide swath of land. Then what you use is you use Sentinel-1 data along with this LiDAR imagery to actually generate even the height of the forest structure. Okay, which is, so that's actually drones working. You can say that that's how drones can actually work with satellite imagery to give you a finer resolution or a better analysis. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think if we have these things within our hand, then I'm telling this because recently I had this experience in West Bengal where we were trying to help in the post-cyclone disaster assessment, and it's been kind of a challenge to us because first you need to send the drone team there, and the drone team first find a drone team, send the drone team, they'll collect the images, then they'll bring it back, then they're trying to upload, I'm trying to download, then again I'm trying to process it, again I'm trying to upload it. It's like becoming so hectic that we are not able to give the final output. Had we done this using satellite, if you're saying that the satellite images can be used at that accuracy, you would have done such amazing job without having to send the drone teams at all.
Because to do the same thing, we need to do multiple flight plans of the drones, ma'am.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And after even after doing multiple flight plans, it is difficult to co-register all the flight plans data set with each other, because in the forest area it is very difficult to match GCPs or take any GCPs reading. In that case, when we generated them of different flight plans, there will be a vertical shift between each data sets of different flight plans. And as the other speaker has said, a valuable point, Google Earth Engine minimizes all these issues. Like, we do not need a high processing computer because the processing is done on the server, and we do not need to download the big data sets. In this case, our internet charges saves, and there is no need to process all the uh, steps on our laptop, because it is done completely server. Whichever output we require, we just can export that particular output, and we can use that output. This Google Earth Engine is a good platform.
So we can export that much output and then put it in our reports the way we want.
Yes, ma'am. You can just export our output.
Interesting. Somebody was asking over here about live feed. Is there something? Can we give live satellite feed, or is this a delayed feed? Do we have live feed as well?
I don't believe that live feed will be given to all the common people, but there might be live feed to the to space agencies like ISRO or NASA or any other country space agencies if they need live feed at the like border regions. And when we talk about live feed, the dataset which we get in live feed is not processed, and all the satellite sensors have different levels of processing. If a common people is given a raw data, it is difficult for him to understand what this is exactly.
Okay.
So there are few steps which has to be done before giving to common people.
I just came across the zoom.earth, which I've sent in the chat.
Yes,
It
ma'am.
is giving you the current satellite image. I don't know how current it is, but it shows today's date. How relevant is that?
I didn't come across this thing, ma'am. I'll just check it out
Okay,
because my main research is on based on drone images and point cloud.
all right. Zoom.earth is giving me some live feed even of the storms which are happening in China right now. So it's showing the progress of the storm, and it is showing the cloud cover and everything. And if I zoom
Oh,
in a little bit
this
more,
is live, ma'am, because this is calculated with the help of precipitation value and all the speed, wind value, and all this to the IMD dataset, Indian Meteorology datasets. These all different inputs are stacked together, and the motion is tracked. And this is on a bigger scale.
okay,
Indian region. We cannot zoom in a particular city, and we cannot track a particular person when he is coming out of the home. This thing
yeah.
cannot be done by
I
a common
tried
person
that. I
with
tried
satellite
zooming
image.
into my house in Mumbai, so the dates changed. It showed me an old image. So
Yes,
it
ma'am.
kind of
Because this,
has layers. So the current image would be the all cloudy one. When you zoom in a little bit more, then it'll go to an old image. Maybe that's the
I,
processed one.
yes, ma'am. Because I don't believe that government will provide this kind of, because this will be a national threat and security issues. Anybody will see where the other person is and he can do anything.
Okay. So what else do you think is the advantage of satellite remote sensing versus drone remote sensing? Or both ways, like maybe drones are better than satellites or satellites are better than drones, in which are in those cases?
Both of the remote sensing techniques has its pros and cons, ma'am. Like drone images, we can whenever a disaster is occurred, and a quick response can be done with the help of drone. But whereas a footprint of the area is increased, it is, I will suggest to go with satellite images. And in case of cloudy weather and rainy weather, it is difficult to fly a drone. And whereas there are few sensors like SAR sensor, which can penetrate to cloud, and it can work even in rain. So these kind of sensors will be certainly useful. And there are few satellite sensors which can be operated in a night time. We have nighttime data sets, so there it is advantages.
Okay,
Sir,
nice.
there's a question from my side to you and Rohit, sir. That like we have heard about a precision GPS by India named as Navik.
Yes, yes.
So,
It is
is there
navigation.
presently any apps or softwares that are actually running on Navik?
Actually, one company, I guess MI or Redmi, has collaborated with Indian government to introduce our Indian navigational system.
Okay.
It is going to come in market, I guess it is last year or this year. I didn't check it out later on.
Okay. So at present, it's not available.
I am not sure. I cannot answer that
Okay.
because last year it came in news that Redmi or MI has incorporated in its new mobile phones.
Okay.
Okay. And I just have a curiosity since many years, even as a child. Why do we launch so many satellites in the space? Like, what advantage do we have of having so many number of satellites?
Like during India and Pakistan war, uh, and USA, initially we do not have our own GPS system, but at the time of war, NASA has America has said that we will not provide you any kind of GPS at the time of war, because providing GPS will be like taking our side. So at the time of war, we didn't have any kind of GPS navigation system because they have rejected our plea. So it was very difficult to what we say in the forest and difficult terrains to know the exact location of the enemies and fight. And more or less being dependent on someone, India has made its own satellite navigation system, and which will certainly come across. All the satellites are placed in the orbit already, and it will be coming soon. And the advantage is that having our own navigation system makes us uh, rely it makes us a
Better,
chance that
right?
we do not rely on other.
Great. That's nice, Sunny. Thank you so
And we
much.
launch different satellites, many satellites, and depending on the different sensors and depending on the location where we need, if there is no satellite that is passing over that particular region or we need more focus on that. There are different satellites, geostationary satellite and sun synchronous satellites. There are the sun synchronous satellites are the satellites which keep revolving around the earth and gets the data of every part of the surface of the earth. And there is one more satellite called geostationary satellite. It is like hanging in the space in a particular orbit focused on a particular region. Like the NAVIC system which we are talking, Indian navigation system, there are 7 satellites. In that, 4 satellites are geostationary, which will be constantly focused on a particular region. And there are 3 satellites which will be sun synchronous, which will be rotating around across the latitude longitude. And we launch different satellites. Due to few satellites have their life period, if that life period is exhausting, we do not want to go blind in that region or in that resources, so we launch different satellites.
So is it true that satellites are always looking at everything we do and we don't have a privacy at all?
Whereas our privacy is concerned, now we are talking to each other, it is not coming under privacy no flow, ma'am. Nobody is monitoring us. So small privacy is acceptable.
Okay. But then is it true that government can actually track every individual if they want to?
I don't believe that government can track every individual until unless they insert a chip in our body. I guess if someone is tracking from our mobile phone, then he can track from our mobile phone by hacking or by the mobile GPS signal. And there is other tracking of individual person through the mobile towers.
Oh,
And there are many mobile tower companies which has the moment of our particular location, but that particular location is not shared to everybody. Like if there is any crime scene occurred, then the police has to go under proper uh, process and get a particular location of a person where he is, depending on the nearest cell tower.
interesting. Somebody is asking here, what is SATNAV? SATNAV.
Oh, SatNav, I have no idea, ma'am.
SatNav is actually GNSS that is used in. Hello, am I audible?
Yeah.
SatNav is actually a satellite-based navigation that is used by remotely piloted objects like drones, rovers, or anything. It is very similar to GNSS, but it is a highly precision one because SatNav is based on your mostly RTK processing, and normal GPS is totally like trigonal calculation. So SatNav is a precision method of having GPS on your remote devices.
And how do we get SATNAV on our drones?
There are specific modules available for that. Like for an RTK something, you need a RTK module, similar kind of thing.
Is it like a hardware?
It is a hardware with a combination of a particular software.
Okay, and how expensive is that?
Really expensive, like 3-4 lakhs at least.
Okay, not very expensive.
The one more main issue which has been solved by Indian government is that introduction of NAVIC system, Indian own navigational satellite system, is that in the Indian Ocean and Bay of Bengal and Arabian Sea, the fishermen which venture into the sea for in the name of fishing, they get lost and they get caught up with Pakistan Navy or Sri Lanka Navy. They get caught by violating international border law, international water
Yeah.
demarcation, because they get lost with the navigation, because our mobile navigation system doesn't work in that region. This is one of the thing which has been introduced in this NAVIC. And a satellite, initially when this system has been launched, all the fishermen have been given access with a particular mobile phone kind of thing, which so for navigation, and it has worked so successfully.
Okay, got it. Okay, so somebody's asking over here, is there a way to handle the space debris after satellite use is over?
There are many international researchers that is working on this satellite debris. Currently, I don't guess if my knowledge is right. I hardly find any people from India working on this satellite debris issue, because once the satellite fuel is exhausted and its lifetime is exhausted, it is difficult to get a satellite from its particular orbit um to retrace back to Earth or exit from our Earth gravitational force. It is a tedious task. there are few technique researches that is being carried out, like sending a particular cross arrow type of thing, like in which it will shoot a particular dead satellite and it will catch it. There
Okay.
are many researches you can go on if you search.
All right. Because I'm also curious about the SatNav again. SatNav, any manufacturer can use it, or only specific people have access to it?
No, it is something like GNSS. It is available for all, but you need the equipments and you need the particular software that is used to do the calculations.
Yeah, I mean, again, if I buy everything and I install it in my drone, am I good enough? With my
Still, you need the clearance to have that bands on your system.
Okay, I need to get clearance.
I'm not clear for that.
More questions from people?
There is a question from my side, sir. As we have seen in the movie Parmanu, that there were blind bands between 2-3 satellites movement, and so they could not track our movement, like in the blind bands. So similarly, the cases at present at related to that, or there are differences. For example, at present, I'm using my phone for continuously, let's say 10 minutes. I'm waiting for a Uber. So is there a blind band coming and my satellite is my phone is connecting to other satellite, or it is the same satellite and the old data that is being used there?
No, at a particular instant, your phone will not be connected to a single satellite. There are multiple satellites depending on the satellites which are present above your particular area where you are standing, and that also in a particular, like, consider this is, am I visible?
Yes.
So if you are, let us consider that you are standing over here, and the satellites which are nearly, there is some angle -15 here and -15 that side around the horizon. If there is any satellites in this region above you, then that satellites, using all the satellites, your precise location will be located. And once satellite is moving out from that region, then other satellites come. So this is a iterative process, and the location keeps on varying precisely. And sometimes there are less satellites, and if you're standing in a forest or inside a building, then your GPS accuracy is less compared to and where you're standing in an open area where you can get more satellite signals.
Okay, so similarly, the satellite phones. Someone is.
Yeah, proceed.
No, similarly, we have heard about satellite phones that they sometimes get a 2-minute or 3-minute blind packet where there is no communication. So is it happening because of that, or it is losing signals?
No, there might be many issues. Like one can be like losing signal due to ionospheric charges, or any movement in the air due to thunderstorm, or which easily disrupts the electromagnetic signals that are transmitted through satellites. And the other thing is that the satellites which are not geostationary, which are sun synchronous, keeps on rotating around your earth like this. And once a satellite moves from this place to this place, then this will be a blind spot. So until unless the other satellite comes in that particular region, then that region is a blind spot. Like as you said, as in the movie Parmanu.
Right.
So in the movie Parmanu, one spy from, I think it's NASA, he was constantly telling the NASA some activities going on in this area. I want our NASA agency to focus one of our satellites into that region. But these coordinates. But when that particular person look in that coordinates, he doesn't find any kind of activity. So he makes his satellite as usual in his routine path.
Okay.
Yasin, would you like to unmute yourself and ask your question? Your question is not very clear. Yasin Mohammed. Yasin, can you please
hello.
unmute yourself? Yeah.
Hello, ma'am. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. While I am mapping OpenStreetMap, I can use Mapillary for the street level imagery to capture. And at that time I use a GoPro camera. But most of the time the rural areas with thick forest and thick forest like time, I can get most of images can get the GPS data. Is there any way to improve to get the GPS in that time?
If I get your question right, when you want to know how do you improve the GPS accuracy when you are working in the forest or something?
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
In forest, is your question related to forest?
Not just forest. While I map, I try to edit the OpenStreetMap. I use Mapillary to capture the street level imageries. So that time I use GoPro cameras to capture the street level imageries. GoPro cameras 7 Plus have the GPS option. So that while I traveling through the forest, most of the I after the capture, I try to upload the images into the mapillary.com. So most of the images have GPS info, so don't have the GPS info, so it can't upload to the Mapillary and to the it will affect the editing and the data to the OpenStreetMap. Is there any way to improve the accuracy of in that time or the equipment or?
If I am clear, your question is that you are using a GoPro and you have acquired few images, and when you came across forestry places, the images which you have acquired didn't have any kind of geolocation. Is this right?
Yeah, yeah.
There are few instruments which precisely work in a forest regions, and as you are saying that a GoPro or any particular mobile, these work in a single frequency GPS mode, and there are other instruments or other softwares which if you integrate, there are different constellation of satellites, not only GPS. GPS is a name of constellation of America, and there are other
American
constellations
military
like
organization. The India is working with the Bowen.
Sorry.
The India is, I think, the India is working something like Bowen in ISRO.
Yeah, Bhuvan is a portal in which India has is providing its satellite data sets.
Okay. So anything like equipment to improve the accuracy?
And one more thing
Can
is,
I just add something to
GPS,
Sunny is saying?
if you need precise GPS, you have to stay in a particular location for a quite particular time so that the GPS signal catches your mobile antenna or GoPro antenna, so that you get a precise accuracy, improve accuracy.
Rohit, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, actually, Suni just said that just now. So basically, for satellites, I mean, for your GPS to be accurate, you need to stay, when you start your device, you need to stay at a single position for some time so that it latches on to these different satellites, and that's when your accuracy will increase. Now, this probably you won't be able to see in your GoPro. Okay. But if you want to actually see this happening, then you can download some mapping software on your phone, and you can actually see how the satellites latch on to how the device latches on to different satellites. And also what Sunny mentioned, so GPS is just one constellation of satellites. Similarly, there is something called as GLONASS. So GLONASS is a Russian constellation of satellites. So certain specialized GPS equipments have a possibility to get information from these different satellites like GLONASS, GPS, all of that. So then that increases the accuracy. So you can actually see that, okay, so right now my device is latched on to some 30 or 40, 26 satellites that you can actually see on the device. That's when the accuracy will increase. Even in your phones, you can get an accuracy about 3 to 4 meters. Okay. If you want to see this happening, then you can download like this is one software that I used for mapping or, for navigating in forest. So it's called Locus Maps Free. Okay. It doesn't have any special capabilities for navigating in forest, But the only thing is that you definitely come to know whether how accurate your location is, and then you can load Google Earth imagery in the background and then see where you exactly are. You can track your own movement. You can create points. You can click pictures through the software, and which will show you the exact location. Wherever you're clicking those pictures, it will put them in those same locations. So you can try and check out that software. It's called Lucas Maps Free.
Rohit, can you put it in the chat?
Yeah,
Please, what's the name?
Yeah, I'll just put it in the chat.
Okay, so would GCPs be a helpful solution in this place?
In which place? In a GoPro place?
No, as if he's mapping or taking images through GoPro. So would GCP help in getting an absolute matching accuracy there?
See, if your GoPro is enabled with GPS, let it stabilize for some time. So that it catches the GPS signal in a proper way. If there is any kind of GPS calibration mechanism in your GoPro, then it is better to calibrate before using. And at the time of capturing the images, I would advise to stay for a particular duration of time in that particular location, then capture the image. Because once there is a moment, there is a shift in the horizontal shift in the displacement. So if you take image at the time of movement, then it is difficult to accurately measure the horizontal displacement. So I advise you to stand whenever you're taking a photo, stand in a particular position, let the GPS signals get caught by your instrument, then you can capture image for a better geolocation.
Yeah, also staying, if you're indoors, then your GPS is not going to be accurate. So even if you're in your car and then you start your GPS device in your car, it's not going to give you an accurate location. You need to either put your hand out of the window so that it latches onto the satellites. That's what we do. And then probably take a few points and try to see if it is giving you an accurate location. It's always a good idea to take a few dummy points before you start taking your first point itself. Actually, Anil Kumar is asking me some question. I'm not an expert in LiDAR, so but I've not heard of this application anywhere. I don't know if Suni would be able to answer it.
What is the question? I am an expertise in photogrammetry and LiDAR. Can you please repeat?
The question was, can we use LiDAR to map depth of water bodies that can be used for flood modeling?
Once again, map the.
Can we map the depth of water bodies that can be used for flood modeling?
Yes. There are few wavelength, like in green wavelength. If you're talking about satellite LiDAR technique, in satellite there is one wavelength, green wavelength, which can penetrate into the water, which is a shallow water, which is at a depth of 15 meters. Beyond 15 meters, it is difficult to map through LiDAR satellite. And there is one more LiDAR instrument called underwater LiDAR. It can map underwater seabeds and underwater 3D mapping of underwater surface and coral reef mapping. These all can be done with the help of underwater LiDAR system. And regarding your question, depth of flood, we can map with the help of LiDAR. When the flood is not there, before pre-flood, we can gather the actual topographic terrain of the particular area, and once the flood is occurred, we can easily calculate the height and depth at any location as required.
So basically it is a pre-bathymetry of the area.
Yeah.
Okay. So thank you very much. Okay, Yasin is asking why the most of the companies don't provide clarity satellite images in India.
Sorry, ma'am. Why do most companies?
Most of the companies, why they don't provide clear satellite images in India?
Which companies? Indian company or international companies?
He didn't specify.
Okay. I can say that if there is an international company like Dubai, UAE has its own space agency and its own satellite, but the dataset of that satellites is not free to everybody. We have to buy for that. And regarding these are the space agency. And other thing regarding companies, I don't believe that companies have the legal rights to share or uh, distribute the dataset without the prior permission from the space agencies.
Got it.
Is it clear?
Yes. Okay. So I think we will come to an end of this session now. I thank you, Sunny, and I thank you, Rohit, and I thank you everybody who has contributed to this session, Amit. And we would have these kind of open days. I like these open days because I also get to learn a lot from my classmates. I'm also a learner. I don't claim that I know everything or anybody can do that because we have experts in front of us who are silently watching our class and doing all the assignments. But there is so much to learn from each other in this class itself. As I said, we have super experts here. So these kind of sessions are going to really help us connect with each other. We are the second week. We have already halfway down our course now. We have 15 days more. And I don't know how you guys are enjoying the course so far, but I am really thrilled by the assignments that you do. You guys are putting in so much of hard work that I'm amazed. I'm seriously amazed. Thank you so much, guys. And so good night, everybody. We will see you tomorrow at the same time. And tomorrow we're going to start with agriculture. Okay.
Have a
All right.
nice day. Thank you all.
Yes, we can plan
Thank you,
open
Sunny
days
sir.
in the grace period, Mayank. Hopefully everybody will come, or maybe they're so bored of attending the classes every day that they would want to take a break. But yeah, we would probably have some more complimentary webinars with some more speakers if possible. Okay, thank you. Good night.